Coming at you from New Jersey, the capital of misery, the place where metal forgot to die.
This is the hereliesmetal 2 Minute Notes New Music Review. I'm Samantha.
And I am Maledictus, and we shall be your overlords for today and all of eternity. Welcome. Today, we have something different for you. No, not really. We have a band called... I know I'm notorious for pronouncing things very carefully and accurately. So here we go. Upamsu, Ajian, Uleman sang Peteng.
I'm sure that was accurate.
Yes, I do it slowly. I apologize. I couldn't do it quickly, but...
Okay.
What is this?
Upamsu is a one-man black metal project from Indonesia.
Ooh.
Our one person simply goes by the moniker B, and very mysterious. And this mysterious project started in 2021 with a self-titled demo, and this is their first album. It was released digitally on Bandcamp back on March 18th, and I believe it's available on vinyl via Banner of Blood.
Very nice. So now... time to get down to business, and that business is the hereliesmetal 5-point bidirectional classification scale, including the categories of genre loyalty, listenability, production style, musical complexity, and just plain fun. Remember, neither side of these scales means goods or bads. Let's continue. We have true or nonconformist. What is it?
Okay, the genre scale. We're going to get a 2 on the side of true black metal. And there's a lot making this true black metal, namely the raw and atmospheric variety. The production, of course, is perfect. We got the raw production. I have evil riffs, and I have those very standard, I like to call them, this is black metal sections, with the blast beats and the tremolos, and like the atmospheric chord progression. Usually there's like an intro, like an and then like the blast beats come in, and it's like, this is black metal.
That's how they do it.
That's what I imagine, whenever, they all make that part. They're all like, this is black metal.
They read the book on black metal, and as you're supposed to do.
All right, so we got this is black metal sections. But there's a lot I also find refreshing about this album, keeping it from the score of all the way true. Because some of those chord progressions, like we have the very classic black metal chord progressions, but we also have something interesting. I'm probably not even versed enough in like music theory to identify, but like say particularly on track 5, like I felt it had almost like a French or maybe like Italian quality, like an accordion could have come in at some point.
Mediterranean, perhaps? Mediterranean.
Yes.
But that's where yeah.
Which, and there are some folk elements too, but you don't usually hear like Southern European folk, which I thought was interesting. And there's also a lot of melodic guitar on top. They're not afraid to get very melodic at all, and the vocal is more of like a pain shout than your very stereotypical black metal shriek. So yeah, it's very true black metal, but it's got some little tinges of differentness.
It's a tortured hell. But yeah, you can't just write this like this is nowhere near noise in any way. As we'll learn going down this list, this is more complex than you think. Next, sonic terror or distorted pop.
I'm gonna say it's a 2 on the sonic terror end. It has to be on the terror end because it's black metal. The Fisher-Price production, the blast beats. This is black metal, walls of sound. But pulling it away from total terror, personally, I find the vocal style, that kind of the pain shout vocal, is a lot less grating than a shriek, the black metal shriek. And the melodic guitar parts really stand out and just kind of carry you through this album. I particularly love the recurring guitar motif on track 2. And it also it shifts through tones, like through those blast beat sections, but it also has like, drumming that does more of like a standard punk or a rock beat. And they let up on the atmospheric sections sometimes to have some nice riffs. So yeah, it's an engaging, varied listen, despite being black metal.
Is black metal? Was that one of those 90s albums you could buy on TV? Remember, like, this is rock. Remember those?
No, we're going to release This is Black Metal.
This is black metal. Why was that never made?
We invented it.
Okay, so for
Now that's black metal.
now that's what it was called, right? Now that's black metal. So for the Sonic Terror distorted pop, yeah, I would agree with that number there. But it's overall got this, this is black metal, got that scary kind of black metal feel to it, that a foreboding feel, as it should, as if it was performed in like a dark stone castle, completely, those tortured howls, some torture room downstairs where the guy's hollering. It's not super fast all the time, kind of very dynamic with the speeds, I think. It's played in that signature sort of guitar rhythm that it kind of almost sounds like a tremolo violin, as in classical music. And that's a lot of black metal kind of mimics that, does that kind of guitar rhythm. If you listen to, violins, kind of like, oh yeah, it has the same kind of method there. But the chord structures, they make total theoretical sense. This isn't like noise. This isn't like, you can't like throw this way too far into Sonic Terror. It is black metal. So, but being that it is black metal, it has that terrifying overall feel to it. But the music isn't really that
It's nice.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. It's not. The music isn't terrifying.
All right. Our next scale is a production scale. Fisher Price to high production. Maledictus.
All right. So this is a weird one because obviously we give it like 1.5 here, which is very Fisher Price. But there's a caveat to that, as they say, and we're gonna explain. We're gonna keep it at 1, but let's explain why this is the case. Now, this, as we discussed before, this is not recorded live. This is recorded by, one person. So you obviously cannot do that live, but it sounds.
I mean, I will say, I wouldn't be surprised if there were more. Just like that might just not be the information.
Sure.
But there is only one person credited as owning the project.
As in running it. So like
but
maybe
we'll assume it's 1.
Okay, let's assume it's 1. So if he did this by himself in his basement or something, he mimicked the sound of that Fisher Price tape recorder, and that's difficult to do if you have this, even like a rudimentary recording rig. I mean, it automatically is going to sound clearer just by default, even if you're not trying, so that's a talent all on its own. So he captured the Fisher Price, the as we call it, the Fisher Price sound so well, but
I mean, haven't some of the most like stereotypical Fisher Price sounds been from one-man bands?
Yeah, that's true. But there's he put a lot of production into the virtual non-isolation of individual instruments here, and like he made it sound like it's going into that virtual Fisher Price recorder, in the middle of the room. So that's a talent. If that's what we're hearing here, if that's what we're believing here, and like I said, it sounds like a very ornate kind of stone castle room, as I said before, right? As if it was recorded in some dark, evil castle, with some grand hall with that echo, It's not like a shitty room. It's like a very nice room, I think. Or it might be just his basement, but we were meant to believe that it was the Fisher Price recorder in the evil castle. So you did a great job in that. The mix, of course, by default is extremely muddy, and there's hardly any drum accents. The drums are kind of buried in that mix. So are the vocals. The vocals are kind of buried in that mix too. They're very muddy, and I don't think that's a mistake. I don't think it's I think that was all by plan, and he's capturing that true black metal. This is black metal sound, And I could hear the bass though. I think I can hear the bass in there. So. But yeah, otherwise it's authentic. It has an authenticity to it, and a genuine, a genuine feel to it. Whether now we don't know how he did this, but if he did do it alone, it's impressive. But I give you 1.5, and that's an honor. Okay, that's an honor. That means it worked. Whatever you did.
Yeah, I feel like the 1.5, like for me, like it is very raw, and it is very nostalgic, but it doesn't have kind of that tinny quality that the most raw.
Yeah.
Like it has more of a warm quality.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Which is not, which I like.
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
So you're not fully there, but you tried. You did a good effort.
Like it's raw, but it's not harsh.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, I know what you mean by that. Yeah, that natural Fisher Price sound that can only be mimicked by the real thing. You need the real thing, which you probably don't have. So retro gear. So next is enough notes or not enough notes or too many notes.
It's kind of hard to say because, as you said, it's very muddy. It's a very muddy album.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of blending in together a lot. So I'm giving it a 3.5 onto the too many notes side for density and sound alone.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's for black, there's a lot of notes for black metal here. But black metal doesn't have to be like simple all the time. By no means, even like that old school black metal. Like before, if we're having this lack of sound quality or perceived lack of sound quality, we could completely cancel that out in this category, because the soundscape here is dense and very reverberating, and the chord structure appeals to be sort of like what we talked about before. It's something of theoretically correct. It sounds Mediterranean, it sounds Nordic, it sounds folky. It's not noise. These chords are all, in that circle of fifths model, they all kind of go in a certain shape, and they, as Sam likes to talk about the shapes, that means something, and there's shapes in there, and they're doing something. There's geometry in here. There's this proper, some musical theorists listen to it, so be like, yes, that goes with that chord, and it would all make sense. It's not a cacophony of demonic chaos by any means.
And the melodic guitar parts are. It almost gets to like classical guitar at some point.
Sure.
So we'll get some points for that.
Yes, there's just skill in here. There's not noise. There's a skilled musician, and if he did it by himself, he did all these notes all these many notes by himself. The drums and the bass and the vocal, all that. It's a lot of notes to take care of, to be responsible for. So that's skills. So yeah, you get that's by far 3.5, at least. Next is fun or focused.
This is a 5 for focused, as all true black metal should be. I do want to distinguish, though, like all other, many other serious, ultra serious black metal albums out there, this is more of like a pained, sad serious. I don't really understand DSBM or if this qualifies as that, especially since I have no idea what he's singing about. But it's much more of a depressive than an I am evil Satan kind of album.
Yeah, it's got like a dirge to it.
It's a sad series.
Yeah, it's like a dirge almost. Yeah. My question is, what do these song names seem to have a system?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can't make out any lyrics,
yes.
And I'm gonna guess that the song titles are in Indonesian.
Yeah.
I did try to Google Translate them, but I couldn't get anything.
But
Google Translate didn't know. I thought it was Javanese. It might be Javanese, but it also couldn't translate it. It could just identify it.
It's Javanese. That's all I'm telling you.
I think I did try to look up what Upamsu might mean, and it seemed to be something to do with like mantras, and like it's like a stage of mantra.
It's a very spiritual album.
Well, yeah. Well, let's look at the cover.
Okay, here we go. Oops. Okay, the cover.
So the cover is a photograph of Batarakala by Crisco 1492.
And that's a photograph of one of those.
I assume a statue.
Yeah, one of those statue things.
And the subject, I Google this, Batarakala is the god of the underworld in traditional Javanese and Balinese mythology, ruling over it in a cave along with Setesusayara. Batarakala is also named the creator of light and the earth. He is also the god of time and destruction.
Does a lot of jobs, a lot of hats he wears.
Who devours unlucky people.
If you're unlucky.
Batarakala is described as having an insatiable appetite and being very rude. This is all from Wikipedia, so I'm sorry if this is all inaccurate.
Aren't most gods? I mean, most gods that wear that many hats are like Zeus. I mean, he's kind of rude.
But he was interested only in devouring humans to satisfy his appetite.
Yeah, I think they all do that.
So, yes, we have the subject here of one of those kind of frightening gods.
All the gods are the same. All these big prophets, they eat humans. They're just like, I'm going to eat some humans.
Is this the god you scare the little children with?
Yeah, like they're all the same, though. All these gods are the same.
I think I read also that, like if a child was considered unlucky, like say they were born feet first or something, they would have to like do things to protect them from Batarakala.
He's going to get them. He's like,
they're unlucky.
He's like Krampus.
They could be eaten by the god that eats unlucky people.
He comes at Christmas time and he eats you instead of giving you toys.
Yeah, this looks like an ancient or like an old like 1950s travel photo or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, something Indiana Jones or something. But it also looks like it's South American too, like that same kind of Mayan kind of thing.
I don't know. I think maybe we're just not exposed to a lot of South Asian religious structures.
It looks archaeological, like Indiana Jones would find it. He'd be like, "I found it. This belongs in a museum."
You saying you want to colonize this?
Well, yeah, he
you immediately
does.
think of colonization.
Yeah, because you see these movies. The only time you see this is through the eyes of colonization. Am I right or am I right? You don't see it from their end. You see Indiana Jones going over there, and he's like, get out of my way, brown people. I'm going to take this."
I can only assume, since he's singing in his native language, that this is some art from the viewpoint.
Absolutely. Anytime like
the
black
indigenous
metal,
person.
Yeah. And black metal is such a good it's a good outlet for that, because wherever you put black metal, it doesn't have to, because it can go anywhere. And a lot of times it involves the way like black metal people from Norway might involve like Zeus, I mean Odin. Why did I say Zeus? But some Greek black metal might talk about Zeus, and these guys from Indonesia might talk about whatever whatever this stuff is.
Well, it's because black metal is following in the romanticist tradition.
Yeah.
Return to tradition.
Not in a Varg way, not that way.
I mean, some of them do, but not all of them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And hopefully not this one.
No, I think to embrace your ancient religion over, this colonized religion, whether it's Christianity or anything, is a good thing, like it's your ancient roots.
Again, we have no idea
we don't know what that is.
What's going on with this album, but I do like, this kind of like old style photo. I don't think it's actually an old photo. Like I looked up the artist, and they're like a real current person.
Yeah.
So they took an old style looking photo. Looks like kind of like
it's Photoshop that increased the contrast.
That's
true.
Or
maybe it was illustrated. Who knows? I don't know. But really nice, appropriate for his theme.
You enter the tomb of Batar Kala.
Yeah.
This is the soundtrack for that.
Yeah, it's a cursed tomb, the cursed tomb of do not touch anything. You will bring the curse home.
All right. In conclusion, we don't cover a lot of black metal, or I think what I would call true black metal, because a lot of it, I find very samey. It doesn't stick out to me at all, but this definitely did. For one, I love the production. I love the style of production. Raw black metal can either be, really good or really bad.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Yeah, I was impressed.
And,
I was like, wow.
I like the interesting touches again that we discussed. That was more engaging. That it's not just this is black metal. But yeah, it's very nice independent black metal release that I enjoyed.
Yes, very talented one-person ordeal here. Very, very good job here, production-wise and music-wise.
All right. Thank you for listening. This has been the Here Lies Metal Too Many Notes New Music Review. I was Samantha.
I was Maledictus, and we'll see you later.